from President Biden. But let's follow his advice and take a look at the Republican response from Alabama Junior Senator Katti Britt.
Good evening, America. My name is Katti Britt, and I have the honor of serving the great people of Alabama. But tonight, I'll be auditioning for the part of Scary Mom. I'll be performing in a...
Wow. You woke? Time to get up. Hello and welcome to Thought You Were Woke, No Speed Limit Podcast. I'm your host, Alvin. Hope you guys are having a terrific day. Hey, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification button as well. And if at the end of this you'd like to leave a comment, please do. So I want to talk about one Katti Britt. As a longtime resident of the state of Alabama and someone born and raised here, I was highly disappointed in Katti Britt. I thought at least of the two Republican senators, she would have some kind of sense. Unfortunately, I feel like whatever that was, I get she was trying to make some points to what she was saying. At the same time, it was absolutely horrific. That's the least I can say about that. It was absolutely horrific. So Katti Britt basically put on this dramatic performance. It started off pretty clean. We hear you. Then all of a sudden it just turned into this kind of like angry serial killer type mom thing where, you know, it's like you saw this bipolar person that just suddenly came out and was on this rant and rave that would be no different than Hitler's wife or somebody like that from back in the day, I guess. Even though I don't think Hitler's wife ever made really, or Hitler had a wife or anybody that ever really made a speech like that. But the way she made that was highly disappointing. That's the only thing I can say. It was extremely disappointing to hear that. In fact, let me play this clip from that particular moment.
She told me he invited it with 94 executive actions in his first 100 days. When I took office, I took a different approach. I traveled to the Del Rio sector of Texas. That's where I spoke to a woman who shared her story with me. She had been sex trafficked by the cartels starting at the age of 12. She told me not just that she was raped every day, but how many times a day she was raped. The cartels put her on a mattress in a shoebox of a room, and they sent men through that door over and over again for hours and hours on end.
So in the midst of all of that ranting, you kind of get the idea that she's talking about sex trafficking. And yes, it was a very graphic story in detailing what happened to a victim of sex trafficking. This particular woman, I assume, and we get no information from this, was a person who came across the border who had come to America seeking asylum from the cartels in Mexico. But I guess it was so confusing. I wasn't telling. Did the cartels kidnap her from Arizona and put her on this bed in Mexico, or was that she was? I had no idea where she was going with this. She took it in such a direction. But I basically get what she's trying to say. The cartels are responsible for sex trafficking, so she's scared of that for her children, that she thinks her children might be trafficked by these sex traffickers. Okay, that may be true about cartels having sex trafficking women, but let me show you this clip from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, her home state.
Talking to us tonight after making several human trafficking arrests.
Police say they have charged at least 5 people with sex trafficking in an undercover sting. Our Brian Henry live at 5 from Tuscaloosa with how this unfolded, Brian.
Well, Jonathan Morgan, investigators with the West Alabama Trafficking Task Force say they've charged 5 people, as you just mentioned, All 5 cases were not connected and they did not include a real victim. The arrest of the 5 came from an undercover operation, one in which West Alabama human trafficking investigators went undercover, according to investigator Jessica Wilson.
There were a couple different undercover officers that we were using, but all were under the age of 16 is what those gentlemen believe.
In other words, there were no real victims, which means authorities likely prevented a would-be juvenile victim from becoming ensnared in a commercial sex encounter. With years of experience, investigator Jessica Wilson says authorities know just where to look and zero in on a suspected sex trafficker.
We had different profiles posted on various social media websites, as well as an advertisement posted for commercial sex. And when those profiles or that ad was contacted, those people were then informed that they were speaking with a minor.
Busted, arrested, and charged. 5 people caught. Of the 5, 2 were from Tuscaloosa, 1 from Northport, and the remaining 2 from Birmingham and Port Arthur, Texas.
In this instance, when they showed up, they were met by police officers. However, this could have been a real child.
Meantime, a dire...
As you can see in this video, that very sad and horrific and sadistic subject that Katti Britt is talking about happens here in the United States. And the reason why I say it was so confusing is because if that girl was in Arizona, there was a reason why she was there. She was trying to escape the terrible and awful things that could possibly happen to her if she were to if she were to stay in Mexico. You think that situation was terrible? It could have been way worse. She could have actually been killed, and then nobody would ever know what happened. At least she had the opportunity to escape and come to America and get away from that. So we do have to consider that when we're talking about the border situation. She's worried about her children because she's saying, oh, the cartels are coming to get my kids. Well, the clip I just showed you says that stuff happens here in the United States. Let's talk about some other particular... remember Kraft from the New England Patriots, the owner of the New England Patriots? He got caught in a brothel in Miami, Florida, where women were being trafficked there. And yes, they were foreign because they were talking about how these were women who were imported from Chinese places. But this is an American participating in this particular thing. She's not talking about that part. Oh, no. She doesn't talk about that. She only worries about the cartels and all these people coming across the border because of that. Then there was also this guy, Jeffrey Epstein, an American con artist / sex offender, who also trafficked young girls. Now, here's the funny part about it. He used to have these parties. He had this private island. He had this party boat. He had these women on these particular boats. And he had a little black book. In that little black book, he had several names. One of them was Prince Andrew. Another one was, believe it or not, Jamie Foxx. How'd you have Jamie Foxx on one of these things? Leonardo DiCaprio. And probably the 2 of the worst that were on that boat. 3 of the worst. Bill Gates was on that boat. Bill Clinton was on that boat. And guess who else was on that boat? Yep. One Donald J. Trump. Now, here's the thing, and I have to put it this way. None of them have been accused of being with any underage girls. Not one of them. They're only caught in association with this man that was trafficking women. And yes, this is all American. Happened right here in the United States. When you have wealth and power, sometimes people do sadistic things. And she won't talk about that, but she's only talking about drug cartels because that's what we fear the most. Republicans play on your fears in order to get you to vote for them. They're playing, you can say Democrats do the same thing, but in this case, they're playing on your fears to get you to concentrate on the border. Then she said something briefly about the economy and how the eggs are a problem. We can talk about that at another time, but this is that game that they play. And at the same time, why was she giving me serial killer mom vibes? Why do that? Bipolar, like you were acting or trying out for some kind of play. What was that all about? Who knows? But anyway, I'm all out of time, folks. Y'all have a terrific day, and thank you for listening to Thought You're Woke, No Speed Limit podcast.
You have been listening to Thought You're Woke, No Speed Limit podcast.